JAMO episode 52, Ruth and Naomi. What's your favorite thing to do every day? Eat breakfast, play outside, see your family. Take a moment and share with each other. Sing God Made All of Us or the Hippopotamus song together.
Boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of JAMO. You might notice, Laura Kate, you look a little different. Well, it's because I'm wearing 100% all khaki. Anyways, so I had the ancient storyteller dress me because this is our 52nd episode of JAMO. That's crazy, boys and girls. That's a whole year of JAMO. That's a whole year of Jam Online. It has been a wild year, and I'm so excited that we're starting to slowly meet back in person. I'm gonna bring the ancient storyteller out so she can explain her choice of outfit. Anyways, I'll see you later. Well, hello there! Welcome back to JAMO, our 52nd episode. And if you look at this wonderful outfit I have on, it's so nice and lavish and very, very khaki. It's the color of sand, which is nice when you're like me. Now, Miss Laura Kate was confused on why I would just wear this one color. But here's the trick, boys and girls. If you were like me, back then, I really liked to eavesdrop and listen in on conversations. And so I would wear the color of sand so I could just lay down and no one would see me. I'll post a picture right here so you can see kind of what that looks like. Anyways, I loved doing that. It worked really well. And I have an idea for how to keep this garb on me for this episode. We're learning even into a year into this show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it like so, which is very nice. This week I have a very special story for you, and it is the story of Ruth. Now, if you've been listening at all to what the grown-ups have been talking about upstairs, you'll know the story of Ruth is a book in the Bible, and Mr. Mitch has been talking about how God is present in our day-to-day lives, which I think is really important because it's super easy to see where God's involved when a giant Red Sea parts, or when there's demons healed, or when there's lots of miracles happening. But it's harder to see where God's involved when we're brushing our teeth, or doing our math homework, or going to school every day, day after day after day. Where is God? Well, he's there, boys and girls. And this is a good story that explains it. So if you want to open your Bible to the book of Ruth, it's in the beginning of the Bible, Old Testament. It's right after the book of Judges and right before the book of 1 Samuel, which is really nice. So this is a story about a woman named Ruth and her loyalty to both her mother-in-law Naomi, but also to God. There was a woman named Naomi and her husband Elimelech. So Elimelech and his wife Naomi had two sons, and those two sons got married to two women. They each got married, they had a wife, and their wives were named Orpah and Ruth, which is what the book is named after. So Orpah and Ruth. So Orpah and Ruth and Naomi had a very tragic incident happen to them. See, both Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah, all three of them lost their husbands, and they lost the connection. And so Naomi needed to go back to her homeland of Judah. And so that she was starting to head there, and Orpah and Ruth were going with Naomi to Judah. And they didn't want to leave her, but Naomi, back then, boys and girls, women couldn't own land like that. They were very dependent on having a husband or a man in their family, and they had something called a kinsman redeemer. So a kinsman redeemer is someone of closest to the family, who takes over, who gets their land for them and helps take care of them. And so Naomi needed to go find her kinsman redeemer. I want you to say that with me. Kinsman redeemer. That's right. We have a lot of fancy words in this story. Anyways, so Naomi was headed there, and Ruth and Orpah were going to go with her. And Naomi was like, y'all need to go back to your mothers. You need to go back to your homes. They'll take care of you. You can find another way to live. You can make a living. You can go be with your families. I don't have anything else to offer you right now. And Orpah at first was like, no, please. But then she thought about it and she's like, you know what, all right. I love you, but I'm going to go be with my mom and my family. And so she left. But Ruth was not like Orpah. And Ruth was not going to listen to Naomi. And she said, listen, Naomi, where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Your God will be my God. She's like, do not force me away from you. And Naomi was like, Ruth, you drive a hard bargain. Let's go. And so they went to Judah, and they got this little place, and they were trying to figure out where their home was and get the land. And so they were trying to work, but until then, they needed to get some food. Now, back then, farmers had this thing where God told them to leave the corners of their crops alone, to not harvest from them, so the poor, the widows, the needy are able to gather those crops and have food for themselves. So Naomi sent Ruth to go gather the crops for them. And so she goes there, and this is the farm of a man named Boaz. Can you all say Boaz? So Boaz was there, and he saw Ruth. He was like, wow, she's beautiful. What is she doing here? He asked some of the other people in the land. She's like, who's she? Does she work for me now? Like, why is she here? And they're like, she is a Moabite who came with Naomi, and she's here for food. And she's coming to gather grains. And Boaz was like, don't give her any trouble. And if she needs more, offer her more from the rest of the crop, not just the corners. He said, give her whatever she wants. Which is a very kind thing to do, boys and girls. And then Ruth, after she gathered, she went back and she told Naomi everything that had happened. And Naomi was like, see, Boaz is related to Naomi. In fact, he could be the kinsman redeemer. He can come and he can take Ruth and Naomi in and take care of them, and he can buy Naomi's land. And so Naomi's like, I have an idea. So Boaz, right, I love Naomi. She's very smart. She's like, so Boaz is going to be gathering hay, and he's going to have a meal, and he's going to get very tired and take a nap. Ruth, I want you to get all dolled up, and I want you to go visit him and say, hey, you're my kinsman redeemer. Will you take us in? Will you marry me? Which is a very bold thing. And you know what? Ruth was like, Naomi, are you sure? And Naomi's like, yes, go do this, Ruth. And so Ruth did. Everything happened exactly as Naomi said, which is just intuition, I'll tell you. And so Ruth went to Boaz and she said, Boaz, you're my kinsman redeemer. Will you redeem my family? And Boaz was like, I will, but there's a problem. You see, there's a man who is a closer relative to Naomi than me. So we have to check with him first, and if he won't, then I will. No worries. And so Ruth was like, okay. And so in the next chapter, we see Boaz going to the closest kinsman redeemer, and he's like, can you take her in? Can you take Naomi in? She's your kinsman. And he's like, yes. And the guy was like, yes. And then Boaz was like, but she also has a Moabite woman that you need to take in as well. That's her daughter-in-law. And then the closer kinsman was like, I can't do that. That'll ruin my estates. I won't be able to do that. And Boaz was like, then I will. So Boaz takes Ruth as his wife and Naomi, and he takes care of them. And what's really cool about this is Ruth ends up being the grandmother of King David. Do you remember who King David is? That's right. King David was a man who God called after his own heart. and he was all through the Bible, all through the Old Testament. He wrote all the Psalms. He was a king. He made a lot of mistakes, but he also did a lot of good work for God. He had kindness, and he followed God, and he led the country to God. And it's crazy to think that this woman, who was a Moabite woman that just really didn't have a lot going for her. She was with her mother-in-law. Her husband was dead. Her father-in-law was dead. She didn't have anyone else. But she became the grandmother of David. Her and Boaz had a son who had a son, and his name was David. Isn't that crazy? And then, from that, Jesus became. All because Ruth went and got some barley. Isn't that crazy, boys and girls? I just love this story so much. Because what this tells us is a lot, really. But I want us to start off by wondering. Let's wonder together. I wonder what would have happened if Ruth hadn't had gone with Naomi. Where was God in the story? Because they prayed to God and they thanked God a lot, but we never heard specifically what God had done. Was there any big event that happened in this story? I wonder why. Why would they put this in the Bible? Well, you see, boys and girls, God was involved in all of this. It may look like a series of things to happen, where if she just so happened to run into Boaz while she was gathering grains, she just happened to listen and to go with Naomi. Naomi just happened to know what to do for her to go and approach Boaz. But you see, God was working in that, because there's no way he didn't have a plan. He saw Ruth, he saw her faithfulness, he saw Naomi's faithfulness, and from their faithfulness, she bore a king. She was a king's grandmother. And she had a family, and she had a good life. And so sometimes, boys and girls, we're going to do things in life that may not seem super exciting. We may just say hi to someone, or be kind, or help someone pick up something. We may just do these normal things like clean our room, be kind to our parents, be kind to our friends. And they may not feel big, but we don't know what they'll do. Maybe that kind smile you offer, or helping someone, will bring in kindness. Maybe the people you're kind to will go and do amazing things because you were kind. Maybe you are going to be a part of something, but maybe your actions are going to help something amazing happen. So this week, I want you to go through, I want you to do the normal things you do, like homework, or playing, or talking with your parents, or cleaning your room, and I want you to do them, and I want you to think like, God, I know you're here. Thank you for being involved in my life today, in everything I do. So let's think about that this week. Thanks for joining me for our 52nd episode. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Say a prayer thanking God for all he's done for us, and that we can see him every day in the normal things we do. See you next week. Bye.